guys, it's Hollie here for PlayStation Access. I am at QuakeCon. I'm talking to Harvey about Dishonored 2. You made it. That has been the running joke of QuakeCon, I'm afraid, is that you didn't quite make it in time for the live stream.
Yeah, it's true. I was late in my flight by 1 day, so I got here the day after I was.
So close.
Yeah, I had to cancel flight, and at the last minute, in less than 24 hours, buy a new flight. But I got here a few hours late, so yeah.
So really, with this one, is the sequel really sort of Emily's game? I mean, why was it so important for you as a studio to feel like we should be exploring Emily's side of everything?
I mean, the most interesting thing about it was as soon as we finished Dishonored 1 and we started talking about Dishonored 2, the thought we had that we couldn't get away from was, what would this little girl grow up to be like? And we felt this kinship with her because she's a moral reflectivity of what your playstyle is in the first game.
Yeah.
And so we started imagining her at 25 years of age, trained by Corvo Atano, to defend herself, and it just became more and more interesting because she's not like a typical video game protagonist. She's an empress, and that means a lot of things. It means she has the best education, she has a fashion sense, she's used to ruling people, and then she loses her throne in a coup and she's on the run. And so she's got to see the underbelly of her empire, and she sees how the effect of how she's been ruling it, basically. But then again, we also include Corvo. So it is Emily's game in that she's the new thing, and a lot of focus has been put on her. We led with Emily. But it also, we have a nostalgic spot for Corvo. You embodied him in the first game.
Now, the game's always been about player choice, but as a studio, it was one thing to just do Corvo, and then, depending on the route that you took, whether you went quite stealthy or you went quite, all in. But now you're doing that with another character, but really in the same world. How is that as developers, and what difference does that make for you?
Yeah, Dishonored games are a lot of work. I mean, if you
so
have...
giving yourselves more work.
Yeah, if you have one path through the world and it's a series of checkpoints or whatever, that already can be a lot of work because you can fold the work into polish or, some other area, right? But in our case, we leave each mission is like a mini open world, right? So that's what we like. We like to do the mission style so we can leave it behind and go to a totally new setting.
Yeah.
But while you're in it, it's very open and non-linear. And you can play high chaos or low chaos. You can, even as Corvo, you can invest in one set of powers or another set of powers. You can play very violently or very stealthy. You can literally play without killing a single person. And now you can play as Emily also with a new set of powers. But we added this thing called no powers mode we might have heard about, where the outsider offers you the mark and you say, no, I've had enough of your gifts, I don't want that. And you literally play flesh and steel. You only have your weapons and lean and climb and slide and all of that stuff, stealth and eavesdropping on people. And so it totally changes the game. It contextualizes the experience.
Well, there's something to rely on, right? Because, if you can't just do it physically yourself, then, you're out.
Yeah, what we wanted to do for Dishonored 2, I've worked on sequels before, and it's a very difficult exercise. It's nuanced. It's because if you leave it too much the same, people complain. They're dissatisfied, and if you change it too much, they're dissatisfied. So you have to change it just enough and leave it the same just enough. And so, we try to make a bigger, better Dishonored, right? You see Dunwall, you see Corvo, you have Devouring Swarm, the rat spell, you have all of those things. But you can also go to Karnaca, the new city, for the bulk of the missions. You can play Emily. She has all new powers. And anyway, my point was, our approach for the sequel was make the bigger, better version of Dishonored, but then maybe fix 4 or 5 things that some people critiqued.
Yeah.
And, one of those was the end games felt very binary, so we have a lot of different permutations of end games now. And they're a hybrid of how many, it's not just how many people did you kill or not, it's branched based on a bunch of decisions you made along the way, who you empowered or supported or killed, or and then at the end it's also colored by chaos. And one of those things that was part of that final critique was one of the points people made was the characters weren't voiced, so we added voices for Corvo and Emily.
Yeah.
So many of the things that drove some of our decisions were player feedback, and one of those was some subset of players felt the game was too easy. They wanted a bigger challenge even than we already gave them.
Yeah.
And so this time if you play without killing a single person or even alerting a single person,
Oh God.
and you play with no powers mode on the highest difficulty setting, it is quite a challenge. So we don't recommend that for everybody, but
They're not for me.
it scales even more. Yeah.
Me on to my next question for you. So Corvo's back, and there'll be people that just loved him so much as a character, but even though Emily's there, that's kind of who they want to have the Dishonored 2 experience with. Does he have any new powers to bring to the table, or will it feel very sort of similar?
Yeah, one thing we wanted to do with Corvo is really bring back all the original powers. However, since our approach this time is to not only have the power and one upgrade that extends it the way Dishonored 1 worked,
Yeah.
this time the approach is to have the power and a whole tree of upgrades that do very different things. And so Corvo's powers are all back, but each one of them has been changed. So Devouring Swarm is a good example. Last time you could summon a swarm of rats, and you could upgrade that so that the rats were bigger and faster. They would eat a body quicker and get rid of it, you know. This time, though, you can, like, add a second swarm and control 2 swarms. You can make your swarms larger. You can make a swarm that follows you around, so as you run around through the level, they follow with you.
Just cleaning up after you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so yeah, all of Corvo's powers, Bend, Time, Blink, all of those have been changed in some way. So
it's gonna feel nice and fresh, even though you played Sonic like 1, and
both nostalgic and fresh at the same time is
which
how
is
I
important.
play.
I mean, that's really what you guys are aiming for, right?
Yeah.
So you touched on voice acting, that this was something that people wanted. You got Stephen Russell in. Now, the guy most famously known for Thief, though sadly not the latest Thief. Is this sort of a nod to sort of the Thief influences for Dishonored, or was it just like, come on, if you're gonna get the ultimate Thief voice?
Yeah, no,
like,
that was a nod to the original Thief series. It's something that Rafael Colantonio and I were co-creative directors of the first game, and Raph's now working on Prey. But Raph and I talked even in the first game about using Stephen Russell as Corvo, but we decided too late to try to add voice. It was too late. And so for Dishonored 2, we knew from day one we really wanted Emily to talk. It was warmer, it's warmer. You not only get an emotional sense for how they're reacting, but you can also clue the player into things they haven't picked up on yet, like just by having Emily say, "Oh, that's Kieran Jindosh's house." And the player goes, "Oh, I knew that."
A nice non-invasive way to put a marker up.
Yeah, and you can also branch it based on chaos, so you can do things like Emily has this comment if she's if you're playing very violently, and she has a different contextualized comment if you're not. And so anyway, long story short, Erica Lutrell plays Emily, and she does an amazing job. And it's because Emily is educated, she's refined, she's used to being in control, but she's also wide-eyed because she's just lost her throne and she's out in the wide world for the first time. And Stephen Russell as Corvo, it's like Corvo's 15 years older, and Stephen Russell brings the sense that like this man has seen too much, and it's really brings gravity to the character. It's very cool.
Now, finally, and I know Nathan touches upon this because Nathan really enjoyed the first Dishonored, but he found that sort of when you were playing, it's not that the game punished you if you went down a certain path, but the game was almost very heavily telling you, okay, look, you've gone down the chaos route, like maybe you should be trying, look how, Emily's getting a bit crazy and a bit down, maybe you shouldn't have killed all those people. How is that going to change for Dishonored 2? Is it going to be much more, punishing sounds like punishing's the wrong word, but
we never punished you. We let you do what you wanted. We just showed the consequences of your action, and our authorial like view of it is that the world's more stable if you don't murder everybody. And so controversial, I know, but but we did hear that feedback. I think the more legit feedback in there is that it was maybe a little too binary on the end games. We fixed that, and also that chaos boiled down to like if you kill less than 20% of people, you're okay.
Yeah.
And so we've done something interesting where we not only have many permutations for the end games, but now you can pull the heart out, and procedurally at the start of a game we randomize the characters and we make them all morally either they get designated either murderous, guilty, or sympathetic.
Okay.
And the heart lines for them change based on that. So you might have a woman who's murderous, and we don't ever tell you that that's what she is, but you point the heart at her and it says that she kills off the elderly pensioners that live in her tenement building and takes their money. and you know that this woman is like bad, and so she's worth a smaller amount of chaos toward you being high chaos.
Yeah.
We found already that players were making their decisions as they moved through the world about who to kill or not kill based on what the heart said. And so we thought, why don't we just mechanically support that? So if you want to play according to the heart, you can.
Thank you so much for talking to us. I know Nathan is behind the camera and he's quite jealous because he is desperate to talk to you as well. But thank you so much for joining us. And you guys can carry on watching because there's going to be loads more coming up from PlayStation Access and maybe even some more from QuakeCon.